Hey everyone, finished watching the next couple episodes of the 2010 Reversion series. First up, I Guy. This episode apparently ran pretty short, so to extend things, they added Rita escaping the space dumpster from the first episode to the beginning of the opening. I guess that's a way to do it. Aside from that, the edits are mostly standard stuff: text effects, filters, backgrounds, and commercial bumpers. The plot of the episode is about a science fair. Billy has a young friend, Willie, who he's helping with a virtual reality game. Rita wants to steal Willie's intelligence and creates the Eye Guy monster to capture him. At the science fair, Bulk and Skull cause a bunch of trouble, and a chaperone judge mistakenly blames Willie for the situation, and Willie runs away. The Rangers go out to find him. Unfortunately, Eye Guy finds him first and traps him. Zordon informs the Rangers of what's going on and tells them Willie can only be freed when Eye Guy's main eye is destroyed. The Rangers form the power blaster, but Eye Guy just pulls himself back together. Zordon calls the Rangers and tells them the main eye is separated and in the nearby woods. Billy goes to destroy the eye while the others keep Eye Guy distracted. There's an infamous bit of unavoidable Jew Ranger actors sneaking in here. The US crew probably didn't have the Eye Guy's suit yet, so they had no choice but to include footage from Jew Ranger of the Blue Ranger protecting a kid from Eye Guy here. I feel the editing team could have done something to better obscure this, but alas, it's kept fully intact. Billy attacks the main eye, but Rita makes Eye Guy grow. The Rangers call the Zords. After a fight, Jason calls for the Power Sword and calls it Mega Sword. Not only that, but instead of the usual, "we need the Mega Sword" or "power up the Mega Sword," he says, "Mega Sword engage." Maybe the editing crew figured the Power Sword didn't have an official name, and that's why it's called so many interchangeable things. The Rangers target the main eye and destroy Eye Guy. Willie is freed, and the Rangers take him back to the science fair. The judge apologizes for overreacting earlier and allows him back into the fair, and he even wins first prize. I have a lot of nostalgic fondness for this one, as it was one of the first I had on VHS back in the day. The plot is pretty basic. Rita has a monster kidnap a kid, the Rangers defeat the monster and rescue them. What stands out with this one is the Rangers having to strategize to beat Eye Guy. It's not a complicated strategy, but for a kid's show, it's suitably sensible. The virtual reality game always stood out to me. I'm surprised nothing was done with it here. It feels like something the editing crew could have done more with. A commercial bumper bizarrely previews the next episode. It's just Jason demonstrating his bow staff skills, but still unusual to see in the middle of this episode. Next up, For Whom the Bell Trolls. It's Hobby Week at Angel Grove High, and Trini shows off her doll collection. Rita is spying. She complains that she was never able to play with dolls when she was little, and just to be petty, she plans on targeting Trini. Trini's favorite doll is Mr. Tickle Sneezer, an elfish character who can trap things in magic bottles. Rita sends Squat down to bring Mr. Tickle Sneezer to life. A transition previews scenes from later in the episode. Squat sneaks into Trini's room while she's asleep and fires a laser at the Tickle Sneezer doll. It grows and they teleport away. The music in this scene always creeped me out, combined with the eerie green light of Squat's laser and the uncanniness of Squat himself. Unfortunately, in this reversion, the sound effects drown out the music a bit. Rita orders Tickle Sneezer to go to Earth and collect things with his bottles. The next day, Billy and Trini are out looking for Tickle Sneezer when they come across him grown human-sized. Tickle Sneezer traps them in a bottle. A commercial bumper plays of Jason and Zach sparring at the juice bar. Right after, the exact same scene of Jason and Zach sparring at the juice bar plays. Okay, that's kind of unusual that the commercial bumper previews a scene that's going to happen immediately after. Usually it's a little bit later. Bulk and Skull watches Jason practices splitting boards with his bare hands. Bulk scoffs and insists that's not impressive. Any wimp can do that trick. He demonstrates on a nearby cake, and a very odd text effect pops up. Crack? Question mark? Zordon contacts the Rangers and tells them about Billy and Trini being captured by the grown-up Tickle Sneezer. The Rangers jump into action. Rita sent down Goldar and Putties to keep them away from Tickle Sneezer. Tickle Sneezer drops the bottle with Trini and Billy, and it falls onto active train tracks. Kimberly manages to catch them just in time and frees them from the bottle. Kimberly tells them they need their help, and in this footage, Kim's belt is missing. This is yet another instance of an actual error being completely left alone, while numerous edits are made to scenes that had no issues. Rita makes Tickle Sneezer grow, and the other villains retreat. Remember that weird gray cloud and rain from Day of the Dumpster when Goldar summons Putties? It comes back here. Is this going to be a thing with Goldar? The Rangers call the Zords to deal with the giant Tickle Sneezer. The Power Sword is once again called Mega Sword. Maybe they should have just stuck with that name. I think it's been used more than the real name at this point. The Megazord gets one of Tickle Sneezer's bottles and turns it on Rita. During this, a giant kid appears behind the Megazord. Not a single thing is done to obscure him. The Rangers tell Tickle Sneezer to return everything he's captured in his bottles. Since he's not an evil monster and just misguided, he obeys. It's then revealed that this was all just a dream. Well, that freaking sucks. This isn't a fault of the Reversion crew or Disney, this is just a bad decision the original show made. At school the next day, Bulk and Skull show off their flea circus for Hobby Week, only to find that the fleas escaped. Despite the mind-numbingly stupid and unnecessary dream ending, this is one of my favorite early episodes. In interviews with cast and crew, the dream ending is somewhat explained. Originally, the episode ended with Mr. Tickle Sneezer not wanting to be turned back into a doll, and Trini waves goodbye as he wanders off into a forest. That's how I pictured it, though we don't know for sure, since the original footage has never been released. Producers didn't like the idea of Mr. Tickle Sneezer remaining in the real world, and insisted on a different ending. Personally, I'd prefer an ending where Mr. Tickle Sneezer just turns back into the doll. Tickle Sneezer stands out since he's not a creation of Finster or Rita, or even a living creature, really. He's a doll brought to life. Later on, this method of creating monsters of the day would become normal. Lord Zed would often zap objects and turn them into monsters, but at this point, it's a new concept. None of the Reversion edits make that big of a difference, it's all pretty standard by this point. The funniest thing about watching these versions of MMPR episodes is seeing all the errors that even nearly 2 decades later weren't considered egregious enough to fix or even to cover up. So that's it for this one, hope you enjoyed it. See ya.